This is the cold storage unit here, actually, and this is where the plants spend the winter. They go in here on Armistice Day, that's sometime in the middle of November, and they stay here in this cold storage unit until essentially the middle of April. So they spend November, December, January, February, March, almost 6 months in here, half the year, and they're totally in the dark. So if you come on in here, I'll show you. It's very cold, 36 degrees, just above freezing. Come on in, we're losing a lot of heat here. I don't want you to warm this place up. It only works as long as the plants stay cold. All right, now, these are the plants. You can see some of the big ones here. They're in a state of dormancy. It just means they're essentially asleep. And they just a state of suspended animation. But we can't leave them in here too much longer or they'll begin to grow. And if they start to grow in the dark, then that really is something of a problem. So this is a Chamaecyparis piscifera. The poodle, as we can call it. They all have little pet names. This is, of course, one of our smaller bonsai, so I can do this by myself. But, you know, when it comes to doing some of the larger Chamaecyparis obtusus that we have in the collection, then it takes 2 or sometimes even 3 people to hold the plant steady during the root pruning process, particularly when we're doing the bottom of the plant. This is the old pot. And you can see here some of these roots. And basically what we're going to do is take this out of the way here so you can see better. Begin the process by simply combing away some of this, exposing some of these roots that are down here. You can see here, it's very solid here. This is probably part of the original root ball as it came from Japan in 1913. There's a big, thick root right there. That's the kind of root I don't think I want to cut. But whereas on the other hand, these small, fine roots, I can cut with impunity. So it's really just a very straightforward process. And you know, you might be wincing at this, but in point of fact, remember, the plant came out of cold storage, so it's totally dormant. So this plant is essentially physiologically asleep. So, okay, basically we're going to now, I've gotten rid of all of the obvious roots, but now I have to really begin to, you know, go a little bit deeper into it. Because you don't want to do this, you know, if you're going to go through the trauma of, you know, cutting the roots, you want to do it such that it's going to last for a couple of years. And so there's a lot of roots there that are fairly tight and congested. So, see that? And then by removing those big, thick roots, then all of the new roots that come on are fine, young, vigorous, what are called feeding roots. And that's what really bestows vigor. So these plants then, you know, will have a lot more vitality after experiencing this process than they had before. So now this is the soil. Some people call this dirt. If you want to get on the wrong side of any horticulturalist, you just refer to soil as dirt, and you'll immediately be chastised. This is very carefully blended. It's you know, it's a lot like cooking. You want to very carefully mix your ingredients to do it. Now you see how you got to get the soil underneath the plant so that you know, it's stable in the pot. Now basically what we're doing here with this is you want to eliminate all air pockets. So you want to make sure that the soil is very firmly in contact with the old root ball of fresh soil. So you've got to, you know, go all the way around it very carefully and incorporate this new soil, get this right pressed up against the old root ball. And now the next stage is to take a little bit off the top. We can do the wiring. I'll show you that too, and then it'll be Take the top out. Now usually what we do when you thin out the crown like this, we took off maybe 20% of the root system, and when it comes to pruning the top, you do the same thing. You take easily about 20% of the shoot system out too. And these plants typically don't miss a beat when you do that. Now you want to, when you do the wire, you have to make sure that you don't girdle the tree. You don't want to wrap, you don't want to injure the tree by essentially choking it with the wire. So basically, the key is not to break the bridge. And now, that's it. I nod. You know, in a funny kind of way, almost a mystical kind of way, we stop the aging process essentially by cutting away all of the old roots so that instead of having the growth always migrating out to the tip of the plant, we keep driving the growth, forcing the plant to start all over close into the trunk. And that, as I said, causes the plant to essentially it's a form of rejuvenation. And as long as you take care of these plants, there's absolutely no reason why, technically speaking, they can't live forever. Form of sort of botanical immortality, if you will.
Many visitors to the Arnold Arboretum are struck by the great age and beauty of the trees that grow here, and a question inevitably arises in their minds: where do all these beautiful trees come from? The answer to that question can be found at the Arboretum's Dana Greenhouse and Nursery area, located just off Center Street. Here, seeds and cuttings from all over the world, including China, Japan, Europe, Turkey, Iran, Russia, come into the Arboretum for processing. Seeds are germinated in the greenhouse in spring. Leafy cuttings are usually collected in the summer and propagated in a special mist house, where the humidity is maintained at 100%. This high humidity allows the shoot time to develop a root system. The process of producing new roots can take about 1 or 2 months, after which time the cutting is potted up and ready for life on its own. The new cuttings are carefully tended in the shade house for a year or 2 before planting out in the nursery. After 2 to 4 years in the nursery, the young trees are ready to be transplanted onto the grounds of the Arboretum. This usually happens in early spring, before the plant has produced its new leaves. The transplanting process involves first digging a small trench about 18 inches deep around the trunk of the plant, in this case a young cherry tree from China. After the trench is dug, sheets of burlap cloth are wrapped around the ball of earth and held fast with twine, using a procedure known as drum lacing. A small tree like this one takes about half an hour to dig and wrap. A large one may take several hours. Once the burlap is laced into place, the tree is tipped over so that the bottom can be buttoned up with burlap held in place with nails. When this ball and burlap process is complete, the tree is ready to be moved out onto the grounds for planting. The actual planting process is very straightforward and simply involves digging a hole the same depth as the root ball, but 2 to 3 times wider, to allow the roots to spread out horizontally. Soils at the Arboretum are relatively good and can be used as is for backfilling in the hole, without any amendment. Once the hole is filled in, it is tamped down to eliminate air pockets and then watered into place.
Now we take this pad here
The young tree is then carefully mulched to keep weeds from growing close to the trunk and to conserve water.
There you go. It's all starting to leaf out right now.
With a proper start, the young cherry tree will have a long and fruitful life at the Arnold Arboretum.